It's been a fucking wicked night so far. I love these nights. Monday nights at Ryan's bars. Nowhere else to be. We're bringing on someone new, a very good friend of mine. She's teaching me a lot. She's fucking amazing. This is Paloma.
You're a bit taller than me, so. The mic stands literally freaks shit out of me. I'm always gonna collapse everywhere. Alright, I'm going to do a little bit of poetry for you and do something that I wrote ages ago. I only ever remain... That's not the beginning, this is the beginning. I only ever remember the dreams I dream when I'm awake. One dream of late likes to reoccur, stirring the very earth of my imagination. It's a dream that tests the perception of reality by candidly depicting a restricting atmosphere, so with my eyes wide shut, everything becomes clear. Your laugh goes through me, as do your tears, ape-like faces painted with a tainted happiness and glossed with an instinctive fear. Can you hear? Those are the rats running, scuttling through tunnels, funneling hopes and dreams into reams of receipts to cope with a global increase in ravenous fiends. Armadillo accountants, accounting for loss of hair and growth of scales to the change in season and the stock market fail. The alpha male battle rages as prowling, growling howler monkeys roam through urban jungles, climbing stairwell trees. And they flee, as scheming panthers hide in the shadows, panting in anticipation, shallow pursuit of self-gain. Well-maintained weasels remain morally feeble. And the animals dance, prancing in a premeditated destiny that is gleefully deemed to be a product of being free. We are all animals, and we waltz. But what we consider to be our reality may indeed be false. You see, there's a monster in this dream of mine with a roaring head and arrow teeth that are perfectly aligned. Eyes in their very colour are cold, unkind, a voice that reminds us of inhibitions, limits and our predefined lines. A nose that can sniff out fear by dipping into your personal atmospheres, and ears that hear thoughts and relay more than you would ever wish to say. A glance that can shoo your souls away, and hands gripped ready to create this doll's house jungle into which the humble subjects stumble. The animals are in the hands of mankind, a concept by which we seem to feel we are defined, a ringmaster, if you like, laughing and casting characters to this rapturous applause. So, with the circus curtains drawn, the show begins, and we close the doors. Maybe there's nothing we can do but give up hope. Slide down that slippery slope until everything is dark and we've cast our own shadows overhead. Maybe you're right. And I'm just one girl, and the worlds unfurling from these swirling words will go nowhere, disappearing into the wind or careering onto deaf ears. But if we were to pause just for a moment, all animals brace for musical chairs and fairly conclude to resolutely refuse this fatalistic state of affairs, and instead actually care. We could throw open the gates, let the curtain down, we could set the zoo free, we could give sadness to the clown. Maybe we'd remember freedom, remember what it felt like to have earth under our feet, toes to touch and hands to greet, friends to savour and strangers to meet. I mean, do you remember what it feels like to have a heart that beats? This is an imagination, contained within lines of rhyme. A single mind's eye creating characters and lives. But I can't seem to wake from this waking dream of mine, because everywhere we are dancing, we're waltzing in real time. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's very kind. I'm loving this night, by the way, it's awesome. I've got another one, if you want it. It's going to be a littler one and a bit less serious, but I can't decide which one to do. I've got one about love that I wrote recently, which is on this piece of paper. I don't have it in my head. Or I've got one about smiling. So both pretty nice. Do you have a preference? Smiling. Smiling. There's a loved up corner over there.
The one in the head.
Huh?
The one in the head.
The one in my head?
Yeah.
Alright, I'll do the one in my head. I hope I can remember it because I haven't done it in a while, but I'll give it a shot. Alright. Let me remember it. Every moment that goes by, history holds her head up high and asks us what we have done. I sat opposite you today and saw your eyelashes waving in every direction. I sensed you were somewhere else, consumed by yet another distraction. You retracted your gaze and you faded down to the floor before I saw you look up. I think you thought you saw something. I think you thought you saw a glimmer of hope. Now I can't profess to be able to cope with everything, but on that morning I wasn't falling, and so I smiled at you. And those eyes that you can only ever find in a stranger glided straight into mine. And we stopped and we looked. Hung in the air as we fell into something that we dared to seek, and with a tilt of your head and a twirl of your cheeks, you smiled back at me. And all those thankless distractions flew away. On to the seconds that had gone before and on to the rest of the day, but for that time, you and I, we just smiled. We didn't even have anything to say. I moved to get up out of my seat, and you gently moved your legs and twisted your feet, and as I pegged it for my next train, all I could think was, well, at least she wasn't afraid. Now this is my habit, and I must admit, when I really, really feel like shit, I do break it. But I try and smile at about 30 strangers a day, and I'm convinced at least half of them probably think that I'm completely crazy. When it's 8 AM and everyone just wants to be in bed, why the fuck is that chick staring at me and grinning at me? I do try and tread carefully, but I do it. Because one day you might smile back at me. And that can make both of our days, or maybe not even days, maybe just hours, maybe just minutes, maybe just seconds. But that could be seconds of relief when things are really tough. And in a world that can be so relentless, tell me, aren't seconds reason enough? Thank you very much for listening.